Hello, everybody. It's probably Red. We're back with another Notorious video. Um, and uh, so last time we had some character creation stuff going on, and today we're going to be finding out a little bit more about our contract and the setting, all that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, I just wanted to kind of go over. I restructured our little character sheet here. In fact, we could probably go ahead and do this number here. Yeah. And then we can find that there. Okay. And it should still be part of this, but it's possible to find it in the using the Google Drive thingy. Anyways, so I've tried to make the character more of my own, like and more unique, standing out from the system. Just like for the sake of creativity and have kind of develop our own little sub universe here. Just in case one we kind of like move into another system at some point and like to kind of have our own story, even though it's set so far in this system. But yeah, so to our character, we did have them called Nosk Rosk. But I kind of have decided maybe that's kind of like a Richard Smith kind of thing, like where it's like kind of just a name like a John or a Jane Doe kind of sort of name. Um, that's could just be like a very common title amongst the Talak. And I've also went ahead and said maybe Talak is like like a word in like this language, like almost like space common, or basic if we're talking like Star Wars terms. I think it's Star Wars that uses the term basic as a language. But my point is, we are gonna call them the Urgol. Uh, so the Urgol are like, medium lizard folk if you kind of need a visual representation in your mind. Ours specifically, we'll get to that when we get to inventory in a second. But so we're a scoundrel, and then we're calling the Empire the Acrophian Empire, like the world of Ekroth, the Ekroth system, or the greater Ekrophian system. But yeah, so we are an ex-Ekrophian Empire pilot. Also, like, we're a scoundrel. And then our homeworld is Cramblus Secundus, in the greater Acrophian system, home of the Urgles. Our inventory, pretty much the same, but we kind of just, it said that we could have 2 trusty laser pistols. We're going to have 2. That sounds great. And we just added that they're like single fire, auto charge, solar powered. So kind of like more leaning into the pirate pistol kind of thing. Like they shoot one time, but maybe they're pretty darn powerful. We got 2 of them. So it's like, and then we got to figure out something else to do. So we've got a stun mace. It's like a electric powered mace that, we club people with. And that might be kind of more like a cleric aesthetic, but I think it's, in my opinion, a little bit cooler than like a stun baton. I think it's just cool for like a lizard person or a Urgle in this case with a mace. Sounds cool to me. And then they've got a rodeo style cowboy hat, black and silver. And this is kind of like what it looks like. Maybe not as bedazzled as the one here, but I'm talking mainly about the shape and kind of this color, like a black, soft leather with kind of the dip here. But maybe we got like the stars, kind of like a little bit showy. But I just wanted to keep that as kind of a reference point. We're going to add that to a new folder. We'll just do Notorious solo RPG, just to kind of, if we later, do a character design there. And then also there's we've got dual rib holsters. Have you ever seen like in like Tombstone? I think they probably have them, but like they kind of like they're like just under the armpits, and they kind of they draw the pistols. That sort of dual rib holsters is what I think I'm going for. And those are sat just under an ankle length canvas duster coat. So it's more lightweight than like a heavy leather duster, a little bit waterproof or maybe water resistant. And then we're going with a cognac color here. I think it's somewhere between chestnut and cognac, but I'm going for the cognac color here. And this is just kind of an example of what that looks like. Yeah. So I think that looks pretty cool. And then of course, like, it's not like human hands and stuff. It's a lizard person, Urgle. But yeah, and then we kind of just refined just as kind of a reminder of our backstory here. We'll go ahead and read out the consolidated version of that real quick. So we used to pilot a starship for the Acropian Empire, but we were accused of colluding with rebels from Tuatara, which is us, Tuatara's homeworld, Cramblus Secundus. We were also blamed by the Urgles of Cramblus S, or Cramblus Secundus, for the attacks from the Acropian Empire. So we're kind of like right in the middle. The empire we're piloting for is attacking our homeworld, and our homeworld is rebelling against the Acropian Empire, so that's tense. But we didn't actually, we weren't even near there during that time. Like, we weren't flying a pilot ship battling them. We were off in another part of the galaxy or whatever, doing a whole nother thing, not completely aware that this battle was happening. But we were accused from both sides of having part in it. So ultimately, the tension from the Acropian Empire and the rebellion on Cramblus S led to an accusation of conspiracy, and the Acropian accuser called out Tuatara in a duel. Tuatara was left scarred, defeated, and barely survived, never to be a part of the Empire again. So as a result of all that, what exactly has that done to us, as far as how we feel about everything? So kind of an after effect of that, we're jaded and keep to ourselves, distrust or an avoidance of the old empire. We are paranoid about keeping everything recorded, above table, and surveilled, and we'd like to keep the facts straight. We are blamed for the death of innocent lives during a battle that we lost. Our homeworld blames us for the Empire's attack on them when we had nothing to do with or any say in the matter. So this is maybe a little bit, we got to work on this a little bit as far as fixing the details there, because it kind of a little bit of conflict with this, but we'll work that out. And then personality wise, we are very vocal. We're not really a strong silent type. Instead, we're very outspoken. We complain most about the unlimited presence of Acropian Empire and their ability to tax for everything on even the most seemingly remote worlds. All right, so we're ready to rock and roll. Now, we got a couple more things to figure out. So this is kind of like our session 0.5, if you would. So let's begin with the contract. With our nomad established, it's now time to determine who the target is, the person that we're hunting. The Nomads Guild provide key information about the target. So these are the things we're going to need. All right. So let's do it like this, just to kind of have. All right. And we're just gonna I guess we'll do it like this. We got our name, species, personality, planet. They are probably on faction requesting bounty. Oh yeah. And another thing is, so the guild that we work for. So what specific guild for our interpretation of this universe? So we got to come up with kind of a name for the mercenaries guild. Okay, so I've decided on the Heat Seeker Mercenaries, HM for short. That's the guild we work for, essentially. Yeah. We work for the Heat Seeker Mercenaries. Yeah. So the faction requesting the bounty, that's going to be different than Heat Seeker Mercenaries. It's going to be its own little sub-faction. And then reason for bounty, essentially their crime, or in lack of a crime, something that peed off a certain faction. So as we play, we're going to learn more about the target's actions and motivations as we move towards our final showdown. So we're going to roll. Oh, I love that they hyperlinked in this document. So we can just go straight to species and choose a name. All right. So let's roll. And I decided, instead of going 2d6, we're just going to roll a d12. And then instead of doing the whole doubles thing, one is going to be a bot. We rolled 11. Cherin, bear-like. Okay, now in my little sub, let's go ahead and put dashes on these. So they called it a Cherin, and I think I'm just gonna call it a bear folk. There we go. All right. And then we've got these names here. Okay, so we're gonna go with Arcturus the cook, bear folk. All right. So now we need to go ahead and personality is right here. So let's see kind of what personality they've got. Aloof, sarcastic, or rude. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Aloof. Aloof. So aloof. So let's see real quick. Okay, so I just quickly looked up kind of what aloof means. And I always thought aloof was kind of like goofy, zany, or not altogether there. I guess it's kind of more like reserved, or they hold their emotions in. They don't really react to things. Yeah. So kind of they keep their emotions close to their chest, basically. So slow to react, kind of reserved. Yeah. So what planet? Okay, and it says, just to kind of, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we'll do the second one. What unusual item of clothing marks them out? Okay, so I kind of want when the collar points up and around. I'm thinking so unique clothing. They've got kind of a white collar, well, I don't know, a beige collared t-shirt well, not t-shirt, like button up, or like a coat. Yeah, a beige collared, how do you spell collar? Collared coat, beige, or like a, I don't know, like a, yeah, let's do a gray collared coat, with the collar all up in sharp angles. So it's like, and they've got kind of like a groovy, kind of blonde, big hair, like Johnny Bravo. So like a Johnny Bravo, or what is Johnny Bravo's haircut called? So it's kind of like they've got a blonde, yeah, blonde mega pompadour wig, like Johnny Bravo, or like ancient. I don't know, not ancient, but like I guess like maybe Victorian style. I don't really know that much about the Victorian England, but like a almost like a big blonde like thing going on, kind of like, and it's got like like the hair is like slicked back, and it's really tall, like Johnny Bravo. That's what I'm imagining. And they've got kind of like this, I think maybe like like a silvery white um coat with the collar all like up in these sharp angles. They've got a blonde mega pompadour wig. Yeah, but they're a bear person. All right. So next, we're back to this. So we need to roll for our planet that we're kind of looking for them on. As part of your contract, you'll learn which planet your target is rumored to be hiding on. The entirety of your story will take place on this planet as you seek out your target. Roll to determine your planet. You can instead choose one freely if it appeals to you, or if you're replaying the game, as well as some flavor text about where you land and the terrain you'll encounter during exploration. A planet's profile establishes several things to record on your player sheet. Predominant species. When you meet a local or hostile, roll on this table to determine their species instead of using the full species table. We got preeminent destinations. When you reach a populated area, you'll roll on the destination table to find out where you've arrived. You'll get a brief description such as, you arrive in a small outpost run by the challenging faction. You should also look up the die result on the planet's prominent destinations table to find the destination name and the faction who controls it. Consider what these places look like, who lives, works, or visits there, and how they might tie into subsequent destination events. Okay, so competing factions. Each planet has a controlling, challenging, and minor faction, all vying for power amid the intergalactic war. Consider how these factions maintain or disrupt the order, and how a person's allegiances may influence their actions or opinions. All right, so first let's see how many planets there are. Okay, so there's 6 main planets, and they kind of give like their type, and we can kind of figure out which planet we're on. And they all seem to be in like probably like the same system, or even potentially same galaxy, depending on like how fast travel is in this world. But let's roll. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got 4. So it's an aquatic planet. That'll be interesting. And it says here Valtari. So we'll figure out kind of what our... Probably go with like Eladoco. It's going to be our aquatic planet. Yeah. We're going to go with Elidoko. So we land our ship on a dimly lit floating platform with connections to the main hub. Wow. Okay. Okay, so these are going to be kind of our predominant species, destinations. Okay, so what's our next step here? Let's figure out this contract. Okay, so we know our planet. The faction who posted the bounty. Okay, we know what planet. We're going to go with Elidoko. We have aquatic planet, so we can link it back to, the fact that we rolled a 4. Do that too, so we know. Just so we have that to kind of frame our version of this story onto this world, and choose a faction that's present on the planet as the client. Choose a faction that's present on the planet as a client. So we need to pick a faction now. Okay, so there's 6 factions. Okay, so we know we have the Acrofian Empire, or the Old Empire. So we're gonna roll for it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6. The Mystic Order. Okay. Give me a second. Okay, so I've kind of worked out, I've got an idea for a kind of a sub-universe here. But I've kind of worked out the different sub-factions and how they fit into the way this world works in Notorious. So we've got what's our old empire equivalent. We got our Acrofian Empire based on Ekrof. And then so what's our uprising? And so what is the Acrofian Empire? So it's gonna be dragons, ogres, and I know that doesn't sound very sci-fi, but I kind of want it to have science fantasy, or what if sci-fi but with you've got these fantasy creatures, but it's space tech, that kind of thing. So you got dragons, ogres, kobolds, urgles, which are lizard folk. That's kind of who makes up the large mass of Ekrof, its moons, and the Acrofian Empire. Though they've got humans, Acrofian humans, which probably end up calling humans Laternians or something, because that's the planet they started out on. So you got Laternian humans, but they're just called Acrofian humans. But that's a given in this. Humans. Since I'm human, I'm gonna have a lot of humans in there. It kind of, I don't know. Maybe not in every story, but I'm pretty trying to tell a story to a human audience. You probably want humans in there. Okay, so we got the Acrofian Empire, yes. And then so what's gonna represent our new uprising? We're gonna go with Aramak of Cromless / Nomadia, etc. So it's kind of called the Aramak Revolution. There we go. So let's go ahead. And then so Aramak Revolution. So 2 noteworthy planets. We've got Cramless and then Nomadia and some other planets too that are part of it. A little bit on every planet sort of thing. They're kind of sort of like how Ekrof is. Ekrof's based on one planet, but they have presence throughout, the galaxy or the system. Let me real quick check the difference between a system and a galaxy. Okay, so I just double checked. So it's set in a galaxy. Kind of my basis for this was double checking what Star Wars does. And I was like, okay, so if Tatooine has multiple suns, okay, that's a system, and then they're in a galaxy far, far away. So it's galaxy wide. It's really big, multiple star systems. So that gives us more options there. We'll have to have some type of transportation system. I'm thinking not quite necessarily like something in between Star Wars and Stargate, like, portals that are in space, like almost like Interstellar kind of, but like an actual like portal. And then like smaller portals that can transport you to like off world and all that kind of thing. So yeah, like I like the idea of portals. Portals are fun. So that's probably going to be like you can send a ship if you can make a portal big enough, and maybe there's like, certain materials, probably like silver or something, that you have to build them out of and have access to this technology. And it takes a lot of energy, and then you can send a ship through it. Yeah, that kind of thing. Anyways, let's keep going here. So we got these two. This is one of our planets here. And not every planet slash, as we see with Cramless and Nomadia, it's not one-to-one planet to faction here. You want your factions to be able to be present on multiple planets. So what is our kind of like a slug cartel equivalent? I'd say the Opulentari. Um, Opulentari, and they're going to be kind of like space pirates. They're like pie. How do you spell? There you go. So pirates, but more organized, kind of smuggling faction. You know, they got their really bad baddies, and then they got their kind of just transporting. I don't know. Off-world planet or plants, like, oh no, you can't bring, I guess cactus to the water planet. I don't know, that kind of thing. But yeah, and then so what would be our like syndicate? I'm gonna say the Mothlings. Mothling slash underworld, or the we'll call it the hand. We'll call it the grass. We'll call it Void Gate. We'll probably think of a better title, but it's basically like the Mothlings and the Void Spawn or the Voidborn. The Mothlings and the Void Spawn, something like that. Basically, like space demons kind of thing. And then Mothlings are we'll want to specify it's Planet Moth. Yeah. So like we'll call them Void Gate for now. All these, titles pending, right? Yeah. So that's our kind of syndicate there. Kind of like we'll get into the details as they come up and stuff and kind of flesh them out as things, but these are just kind of like our placeholders for now. Making the fiction our own, putting our own stamp on the game here, and making the playthrough kind of original. And so what's our trade alliance equivalent? I would say like universal or technologies universal. Universal. One second. We'll go with Technologia Galacticus. Maybe we'll think of something else later. But essentially that's Laterna and Gargan Fen. It's going to be kind of the main worlds that's from. And they're kind of like Gargan Fen's kind of like the like the real tech experts, kind of like gnomes, in this case, are mainly what make up the residents of Garganfen. And Laterna is going to be like humans mostly, but other species too. So they're kind of Alliance and Technologia Galacticus. Um, yeah. And then so the last one is going to be our Mystic Order, which is going to be Albagast. And that's going to be, well, Albagast. It's like elves. You know, I mean, but it's not just elves. You got elves, you got like satyrs, you got like Hesperus, a bunch of different ones. Yeah, tree people, you know, all kinds of different, you know, Albagostians. Yeah. All right, so that's kind of going to give us a starting place. But then you're probably asking, like, okay, so where does Elidoko fit on here? And I'm thinking, like, Elidoko might have a strong presence. But, I mean, they're space pirates, so they're all over the place. But it kind of fits that, like, the aquatic planet would have a lot of space pirates. It's kind of fun. Gives them a reason to be riding in like pirate ships, which would be kind of crazy because it's normal like spaceships, but they're like spaceships that are ship shaped shape. Anyways, yeah. So where were we? We kind of went off on a tangent here. So who was it? Who did we roll as the faction? I think we rolled Mystic Order. So the Albagast, that's what we're going to go with. That's our version of the Mystic Order. So let's read what they say about the Mystic Order, kind of like what the feel is of this sort of faction's role in the galaxy here. Yeah. So once a powerful force in the galaxy, with warriors of light and dark wielding improbable powers and ancient weapons. Those that still remain aim to exert subtle influence over the war. Okay, so let's see kind of why they would want us to be hunting for this bear folk. So we rolled 5, so we're going with the third one here. The target is a rogue warrior of the Mystic Order who has switched allegiance to the light or to the dark. All right, so let's see if we're working for light or dark. 1, 2, 3, light. 4, 5, 6, dark. So we're working for the light. So that means that our bear folk here, Arcturus the cook, they used to be. Oh, okay. First of all, they're on planet Elidico or Elidoko. I pronounce it both ways. And then the faction requesting the bounty is going to be the Mystic Order, which in our case, our Mystic Order is the Albagast. And then they're going to be, let's see. So I guess like light and dark. You could have like I guess the shadow elves, like the Svartalfar elves, and the Holder elves. Holder elves are kind of the leaders of the Albagast's light faction. So we'll call it the Order of Holder. Let's do that. Order of Holder. Okay. All right. So why they are trying to bring in a warrior that has gone to, who has, powerful teachings over their magic, but has turned to use them for evil purposes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this guy Arcturus the cook is bear folk. He's kind of slow to react, reserved, kind of unfeeling, which I guess kind of fits the whole like mystic warrior kind of Jedi sort of Sith kind of feel. Even though the Sith are more like, they tend to be perceived as kind of these evil people that are reacting, very emotional beings. Okay, so he's got this silvery white coat with a collar all up in sharp angles. So he really stands out. Well, it depends on what everybody else is wearing. Like, what's the regular thing? But he's also got a blonde mega pompadour wig that he just wears. And maybe he's lost it. So we're walking around with this photo of him in a big old mega pompadour. And we're looking for this big blonde wig bear. And maybe they took the wig off. So the planet they're probably on is Elidoko, which is aquatic. Which, I mean, we can do good in aquatic as long as it isn't too cold. I would imagine we're probably, cold-blooded. It's very rare that reptiles are not cold-blooded. But yeah, their quest is the Order of Holder from Albagast. All right. So I think we got everything we need from that. Okay. So our next goal is going to be, the hunt and progressing through this. This is going to kind of help us guide us through that. We got a lot of material to go through now. And we're going to want to kind of flesh out the planet. So that'll be the next goal. Just kind of get an idea what's on the planet. Where did the planet go? There we go. So that'll be my next goal, is to kind of like figure out and hone in on Elidoko specifically. And then kind of like, we already got bear folk. We got, the Urgle. Just figuring out the other factions specifically for our aquatic planet here, our Veltari equivalent. Yeah, and then this gives us an idea what kind of terrain we're looking at. And then, so Talok is going to be one, there's going to be some Urgles here, and then we got to figure out what our Kamano and Valk equivalents would be. Yeah. And then we got 6 different locations. Okay. So, and that's perfect because it's controlled by our mystic order. So it's Elidoko, but it's controlled by the Albagast holder elves. Yeah. So that's perfect. And did we say what faction they're a part of? I guess they were part of the Order of Holder, and they've left. Yeah. Yeah, but the Opalentari says that the trade alliance is kind of challenging them. But it's funny because the I said Elidoko is kind of your Opalentari, main planet. Maybe that's kind of like their planet of origin, but the Albagast have taken over, and there's almost no more present. Or, you know what? We'll figure out the Elidoko later. But yeah, those will definitely... Elidoko as a species, they're like, crocodile people. Those will be kind of one of the potential species that we'll run into. There's 3 different things. We could roll for which one it is, but I think we're just going to roll whenever we encounter something there. Those are going to be the main ones there. Maybe we'll kind of make a chart where everybody shows up. like as far as species go, or almost everybody shows up like that could survive on that planet. Maybe for the first one we'll just have 3 or 4, but but we could have a chart where it makes it very likely that we're going to run into one of those, but there's just a small possibility of running into another species. But maybe like I said, for the first run, we'll just do those 3. So yeah, this is going to be it for all. Big heads up, if you're listening to this as of July 2nd, 2026, there is a summer sale going on itch.io. I noticed when I was looking up the sequel to this, and there's just a bunch of copies as of this recording that are just like, whatchamacallits, community copies. So if you listen to the end, go ahead. I mean, I had nothing to do with like getting the community copies on there, but I just want to let you know, while I've got your attention, go check that out. Also, thanks a lot for listening. Yeah, so go specifically with Notorious and Outsiders. Those both have community copies. And I can't remember the guy's name. Jason Price on itch.io if you're looking for how to find it. Several of his games had some community copies and stuff, and they're also on sale. Yeah, so go enjoy that, and thank you again for listening. Talk to you soon.